Hi there. My name is Jennifer and I am coming to you from the Grandview Heights Public Library. And we're going to do some virtual book talks today. I am so glad that you are here to join me. These will be book talks for birth up through grade 3. And I have a lot of really fun books to share today. So a little bit about myself. I am a children's librarian. I am the outreach coordinator right now at the Grandview Library, which means I get the fun job of visiting lots of preschools and daycares in the area and doing story time for them and taking them books to supplement the things they're learning about at school. So of course it's been a little different during the pandemic. My story times are all on YouTube, but I'm still able to get lots of great books into their hands. And one of my favorite things about being a children's librarian is seeing all of the new books that are constantly coming out. And I have a lot of great books to share today. Most of them are newer books. I've got board books all the way up through some graphic novels, some beginning chapter books. So I have so many things to share. Let's get started. So my first book today, actually it's a series of books. It's a board book series about Rosa and Clive. So these are all written by Jessica Spaniel, and it's a series about a little group of toddlers that like to play together, which isn't that unusual. But the great things about this series are that they challenge gender stereotypes that we might have. So you can see this first one is called Rosa Loves Dinosaurs, and the other one I have is called Clive and His Babies. So, normally you would probably see books about Rosa playing with her doll babies and Clive playing with dinosaurs. But that's one of the great things about this series is it challenges those gender stereotypes. The other great thing is that they have lots of different ethnic characters shown. And it's the inclusivity that you see in these books is not really the main point of the stories. It's about a group of toddler friends that like to have playtime. But it's great to see all those different ethnic groups, the different gender stereotypes shown. So I think it's really great for kids to see themselves represented in books, even at this really young age. Whether it's kids who might look like them or kids who might play like them or kids who don't play like them. It's just a really important thing to see. And so these board books are really sweet, very gentle, and really timely. So the series about Rosa and Clive. I have another board book to share. It is called Where's the Hen? And it is written by Ingela P. Arnhius. Where's the Hen? So this is really just a cute, simple, sort of hide and seek type book. It is a lift the flap book. Lots of bright colors, lots of simple illustrations. The one thing I really wanted to point out about this one is the felt flaps. So, where's the cow? Here it is. And we all know how lift the flap books can tear really easily. And these felt flaps are really durable. They're easier for little hands to grab onto. And they're great for working on those sort of finer motor skills with those little ones. So, where's the hen? With these great felt flaps. A very cute, colorful, bright board book. Now we're going to move on to some picture books. I brought so many fun picture books today. My first one is called Out the Door. It's by Christy Hale. So this is such a simple picture book, but there are lots of things in it that I really love. It depicts a girl who is going through her day on her way to school and back home again in a really big city. In this case, she lives in New York City. So I think it's really great for kids to see other kids doing basically the same things they might do in their lives, but in a different setting. So she's got to go on the subway to get to school, where there are lots and lots of people. It's got very little text, as you can see, but the text that it does have includes over 20 different prepositional phrases, directional words. So it is really helpful, could be used to help your child sort of describe his or her day and what things they went through during their day. Maybe talk about it in order of how their day went. This is a really great picture book. Has beautiful collage style illustrations, and I would say it's great for preschool all the way up through grade 2. So, Out the Door. A really new, fun picture book by Christy Hale. This next one was one of my favorites in 2020. It's called Going Up. It is written by Sherry J. Lee and illustrated by Charlene Chora. So this story is takes place in a tall building in a city. I kind of like how even the book is shaped tall and sort of skinny like a tall building. And it's about a birthday party that is being held on the top floor of this building. So Sophie and her dad, they receive an invitation, invited to Oliver's birthday party on the 10th floor. So they're so excited. They bake some treats to take along. They get to the elevator and they get on to go all the way up to the 10th floor. Ding, going up. So at every floor, or almost every floor, some more neighbors get on. And everyone is bringing something along to the party, a present, maybe a treat. One thing I really love about this story, it is very inclusive. It's very much a sense of community. So everyone in the building getting together to celebrate Olive's birthday. So you just see all of the neighbors getting on each floor. Another story portraying like an urban style life. And one thing I want to point out, make sure you pay attention to the gifts that everyone is taking to the party. It might give you a clue as to who the party is for. So it's just a really fun picture book. Everybody's riding in the elevator. They all get up to the 10th floor, and it's a big party. One of my favorite ones from 2020, Going Up by Sherry Lee. It's a great picture book. Preschool up to grade 2. A lot of fun. Okay, my next one is called The Blue House by Phoebe Wall. This is a really sweet story. It's great for anyone who might be moving or just experiencing any change in life. And change is hard, especially for kids. It's hard for me. So think about for kids how hard it can be once they're used to something being a certain way and then it has to change. There are a lot of feelings that might go along with that. So this is the story of Leo and his dad. They live in a little blue house, and it's an old house. The paint's peeling, the floors are creaky, but it's their home, and they've made lots of happy memories there. And one day, Leo and his dad receive a notice from their landlord that he is selling the house, and it's going to be torn down, and apartments are going to be built there. And that is something that often happens in towns and cities. Well, of course, Leo and his dad are sad. They're angry. They have all sorts of feelings. One of my favorite pages in the book shows them feeling their emotions. And they decide to do something with that. They rage, they scream, they dance, they sing. and they go through all of their emotions about having to leave their home. They get to their new home, and Leo says, I hate it. And his dad says, that's okay. I think it's a really great story to show that it is good, it's okay to feel all of the feelings that you might feel about something, and that people might deal with those feelings in lots of different ways. And it's important to do that. So change is really hard, but talking about it, it helps us to process it. It helps us to accept it. And it might not be easy, but that's really important to do. So Leo and his dad move into this new home. And of course, at first, it doesn't feel like home at all. But they make it their own. They do some painting, some drawings, and soon they start to make new memories in their new home. This is called The Blue House by Phoebe Wall. All right, another picture book that I brought today. It's called Just Ask. It's by Sonia Sotomayor and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. So, Sonia Sotomayor is a U.S. Supreme Court Justice, and she wrote this story. It also says, be different, be brave, be you. And it's sort of a little bit about her own childhood experience of being diagnosed with diabetes as a child. So kids at school would see her doing her insulin injections. And of course, if kids don't know what's going on, they might feel afraid. They don't understand why she's different. And so she's writing this story to tell them to, if you don't understand what someone is doing or why they're doing it, just ask. Don't feel afraid. You don't have to ignore it. Just ask, and then you'll know. Lots of people grow in different ways. People do different things. And if you're curious, just ask. So in this story, there are lots of children, and they all have something different that they're experiencing that the others are not. But then they also have lots of different things to offer. Like Bianca, she has dyslexia. Let's see if we can find. Here's Bianca. She has dyslexia. So of course, sometimes she has difficulty reading. So sometimes she uses a computer program that can help her with her reading. And she loves learning by doing things and has a great imagination. So she's found that she's great at art, and she likes to make art from the pictures that she sees in her mind. And so she asks, are you really good at doing something? So it goes through lots of different kids who have something different going on. Like, let's see, here's Madison. And Madison is blind. And she uses a seeing eye dog, a guide dog, to help her get around from place to place safely. But what she also knows is that she has learned to use her other senses, her sense of hearing, her sense of smell. And she notices lots of details using those senses that other people might miss. So, just ask. I think this is a great book, maybe to use in a classroom, especially at the beginning of a school year, to start some conversations about differences between people and how those differences make our world a richer place, and all the things that we have to learn from one another. Just ask. I would say great for even pre-K all the way up to grade 3. Helps with some great conversation. My next picture book it's a really funny one. It's called You Loves You. Y-O-U loves E-W-E. You Loves You. The stories and the pictures and the wacky wordplay by Cece Bell. Now, Cece Bell has written some other books. She wrote a graphic novel that was actually autobiographical called El Defo, which was a great graphic novel a few years ago. Now, this book is so funny, so silly. It will definitely make you laugh. And it's a lot of fun with homonyms. So words that sound the same, but don't mean the same thing and aren't spelled the same necessarily. And it's the story of Donkey here. And much confusion happens for Donkey, who does not understand the difference between the word Y-O-U, you, and E-W-E, you. So it's a super fun way to talk about homonyms. We've got you, and here's Yam, and yeah, he says, "Hey, donkeys." And Yam says, "We're not donkeys. I am a yam. And this is you." "That is me? I am so cute and fluffy." So, poor Donkey. Lots of confusion with all of these words that sound the same. So if you really like this story about Donkey and Yam and you, there's also one called I Yam Donkey. I Am a Donkey. Both by Cece Bell. Very funny. It will even make the grown-ups laugh. My next book is called You Are Home. And this is written by Evan Turk and illustrated by Evan Turk. And it is an ode to our national parks. So this is pretty much, it's a simple book, not a lot of text. Has gorgeous illustrations dedicated to our national parks. Now, the author's dad actually worked for the park system as he was growing up, and so took Evan and his brother to many parks while they were children. So Evan fell in love with our park system. And you'll see all sorts of animals depicted here, and all kinds of people from urban areas, people who are new to our country, indigenous people, all enjoying the majesty and the beauty and the protection that our national parks have to offer. So yeah, we talk about Yellowstone, Great Sand Dunes, Yosemite, and you'll see some of the creatures that live in these different parks. So this, I like to think of these sort of as a crossover type picture book, a little bit of nonfiction going on in there as well. This is all kinds of beautiful illustrations of our national parks. And at the end, there is some information about some of the animals, the parks. Here's a map with our national parks all shown on it, and tells you which park was depicted in each of the pictures. So if you are a fan of our national parks, this is a great one to read. If you're dying to get out there and travel but not feeling safe about doing that, this is a fun way to experience all of our national parks. You Are Home. A great book for preschool all the way up to grade 3. Another book that is, again, what I think about as a kind of a crossover book that is a picture book format but has lots of information in it, and nonfiction as well. This one is called Crossings, Extraordinary Structures for Extraordinary Animals, written by Katie S. Duffield and illustrated by Mike Orodan. So this actually is a nonfiction book, and it is about, so as humans are constantly building roadways and highways and bridges and tunnels and expressways all around our country, what happens to all of the animals that live in those places and are impacted by all of that construction? Their own habitats, their routes that they might follow they become affected by people's need to get from place to place in their cars. So how do the animals then get from place to place if they can't safely cross a highway? So this book is about all of the people from scientists to engineers to concerned citizens, people who study animals, how those people are working all over the world to build crossings for the animals to safely get from one side of a highway to the other, travel over or under or across all the busy network of roadways that man has built. So ultimately, it saves animals' lives. So what happens when constructions spread over and under, across, and through? Scientists and engineers have become very innovative in coming up with different sorts of bridges, tunnels, ways for animals to safely cross all of this network of roadways. So like here on this Canadian highway, they have built this sort of natural bridge over the highway for bears, wolves, elk to safely cross from one side to the other. Here in Kenya, underneath this busy road, they have made this tunnel for the elephants to safely cross underneath. This one was really interesting. These squirrel gliders in Australia, they can cross over this woven rope bridge over an Australian freeway. So lots of different ways that humans have made it safe for animals to cross over all the busy highways, expressways, and roadways all around the world, helping to save animals' lives. Crossings, extraordinary structures for extraordinary animals. This was really interesting. And I would say that one is, again, probably preschool all the way up to grade 3. Another nonfiction book that I brought today is called Your Place in the Universe, written by Jason Chin and illustrated by Jason Chin. I love nonfiction children's books. I think that they present lots of great information in a very concise and interesting way, and often combined with really beautiful illustrations, such as in Your Place in the Universe. So when you think about the size of our universe, it's mind-boggling to even sort of wrap your brain around how big it can be. And for kids, think about how mind-boggling it is for them. So, but when you think about it in comparisons of comparing one thing to another, it sort of gives a little context to how big something is compared to something else. So, for example, you think about this book here, he points out that an 8-year-old is about as tall as 5 of this book stacked up. But they're also not as tall as this ostrich. They're about half as tall as an ostrich. And the ostrich is less than half as tall as a giraffe. So it just goes on comparing one thing to another. Comparing the giraffes to trees and to the tallest buildings that man has made. So here's the tallest building currently, the Burj Khalifa. It's in Dubai. But when you think about that building compared to the height of Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, here are the buildings right down here. So you see just how they compare in size. So it goes on, talking about our solar system, talking about our galaxy, and all of the galaxies that we know of, and the cosmic web. Very fascinating book. One of my favorite facts that I learned in here is that the moon is 238,855 miles away from Earth. It's so far away that 29 Earths could fit between the two. It's so far that a jet plane going 500 miles per hour would take 19 days to get there. Isn't that amazing? But even the moon is close when you compare it to the sun. So this is just a great book, combined with beautiful illustrations, which makes the science of our universe more accessible to children. And there's several pages at the back here with more information and some extension activities to continue the learning and to just continue exploring about our universe, your place in the universe. Great for preschool all the way up to grade 3. Lots to think about here. All right, so those are all the picture books that I brought with me. I now have a graphic novel to share. It's called PB&J Stuck Together, written by Brian Smitty Smith. So this is a very clever graphic novel about the unlikely friendship of P, who is literally a P, B, and J, who is a blue jay who cannot fly. So it's got a lot of plays on words, as you can see. PB&J, you can also think about PB&J the sandwich, which actually probably was a combination, maybe didn't sound that great to someone until someone tried it and decided that peanut butter and jelly really did go together well, just like this set of 3 friends who just meet. So it's the story of P, who on a dare from some friends in the farmyard says that he can roll all the way out of the farmyard to a large red oak tree and bring back a leaf. So he goes on his adventure and finds himself in a little trouble when a storm comes along and gets sort of rescued by B, who turns out to be a very important bee. Another one of my favorite word plays in here are when they encounter a bunch of raspberries, and let's see if I can find that page. The raspberries literally blow raspberries at them and cover them in raspberry juice. So very, very silly. So they go on this adventure. They help each other out of some different sticky situations and become great friends. And through the adventure, P and B actually help J become a little more confident about flying, and it gets them out of sort of a danger situation with a fox. So they end up actually back in the farmyard where B and J decide they're going to build their hive and nest closer to the farmyard so that the 3 friends can be together and have lots of adventures together. So this is the first one. There is actually a second one that's out right now also. And great for grades, probably 1 through 3. Very fun, very adventurous, and yeah, PB and J stuck together. Lots of fun. And my last one today is a chapter book, also the first in a series. It's called 2 Dogs in a Trench Coat by Julie Falatko and illustrated by Colin Jack. And this one is called Go to School. I think there are 2 others that are out as well. And I would say this is probably really good for about grade 3, maybe 4, and even 5. So the upper level of our birth through grade 3 book talks today. So this is the story of Sassy and Waldo, two dogs, two very good dogs who do their job of protecting their house, keeping it safe from all the pesky squirrels outside, and they are a little obsessed with those squirrels. So they have a really good life, but they become a little concerned about the human boy in their house, whose name is Stuart. Stuart comes home every day from a place called school, and he's a little anxious. He smells of anxiety, and he smells like paper. And they get a little worried for him about why he comes home not feeling so good about his day at school. They hear him tell his mom and dad when they ask, "How was school?" And he's like, "Oh, it's okay." So Sassy and Waldo come up with a plan that they are going to go to school. But dogs aren't allowed at school. So they disguise themselves by standing on each other's shoulders and wearing a trench coat. And they go to school as a new student at school named Salty. They discover they love school. The school lunch is great. Lots of different meat, lots of different smells. And they also figure out a way to help Stuart. They figure out what's going on there at school and how they can help him with his anxiety. So this is a great chapter book. It's got illustrations throughout, which add to the fun. Two Dogs in a Trench Coat, a great new series by Julie Filatko. All right, those are all the stories, the books that I brought today. I hope you found something that looks great to share with your family. And join us again for our next virtual book talk next week. Thanks.